Hi, this is Nightingale with Nightingale Creations. Welcome back to the channel. So I wanted to kind of do a beginner starting from zero basically of crochet. We're going to be using a 4.5mm or US 7 size hook. It's a smaller hook. If you're just starting out, you may want to use the 5.5 for I'm using worsted weight yarn, which is just size 4 medium yarn. All this is size 4 medium yarn. If it's easier for you, you might want to go ahead and use a bigger hook. I'm going to be doing a specific pattern that's for a scrap blanket that I'm going to be making, so this is just part of my scraps. But if you're just using this to learn certain stitches and how to get started, how to hold your hook, how to hold your thread, that's good too. If you want to go ahead and do the blanket also, I'm using scrap yarn, but you can use any yarn you want. And you could even use lighter yarn and use a smaller hook, or use heavier yarn and use a bigger hook. It's really up to you. This is going to be a hexagonal pattern and it's for beginners, but it also has a very wide range of stitches that will be really important to learn. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to do this pattern. I guess that's enough of an introduction. I'll just keep going on and on forever because crochet is like just so like in depth, like it's an art form, it really is. But this is just for beginners. So, and I will continue this blanket also in a different video, which I will link once I get it uploaded. But for right now, this is just for beginners. So the first thing you're going to want to do is, it says to chain 4. So we'll go ahead and do that since that's easier than the magic circle I was going to try to do. So when you're starting, you're going to want to make a loop on your hook, just like this. Just loop it around just like that. And when you hold your yarn, I've seen a lot of different ways to hold it, but this is the easiest way for me. And this is left-handed, so keep that in mind. But basically, you're just going to use this as like a mirror image of what you're going to do. So I just lay my yarn over just like this, and then I'll grab it, loop it around my finger just like this. So I'm holding it with my pinky and I am looping it around my pointer finger, and then I'm gonna use notice I kept these two fingers free. I'm gonna use these fingers to hold my yarn at this point right here to create a loop, since I have not done my slip knot yet. Make sure you can feel the tension, but you don't want to be too tight, and that will just come with like experience. Like it's all about feeling what your personal style is also. So you're gonna hold it here, you're gonna twist your hook, grab the yarn, and pull right through. And as you can see, you have a slip knot that you've created with that, and you're just going to pull your tail and tighten that knot. And then you can just go just like this and tighten the loop. This is going to be your first loop, so you don't want it to be too tight. As you can see, I left a little bit of space here. You want to do that too, so you're moving in and out of these very easily, but not too loose to where the design is not going to hold up. So I'm going to, instead of doing a magic circle, if you know how to do a magic circle, go ahead and do one. This is just for beginners, so I'm just going to do it with the chains. So a chain is literally, you're going to keep your loop here you're gonna yarn over and pull through, and you just made 1 chain. Yarn over, pull through, that's 2 chains. Yarn over, pull through, that's 3 chains. Yarn over, pull through, and that's 4 chains. So like, notice how I just had a hard time pulling that through? That's probably gonna be too tight. So I'm gonna make it a little looser. So in order to make a circle, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find my last chain. Make sure you're not looking at it like this. If you're looking at it like this, where you can see the back ridge, you're not looking at it correctly. You want to have it just like this, and you can just see 1, 2, 3, 4 open mouths right here. You're gonna go into the first open mouth we made closest to the knot, and you're going to do a slip stitch, which is the easiest stitch you can do. And you're just gonna yarn over, pull through, and then pull straight through your second loop, and that is a slip stitch. And as you can see, you've created like a little circle right here. And then the next thing we're going to do is chain 2, 1, 2, just like I just showed you how to do the chains. And then you're going to do a double crochet. Double crochet, you're just going to loop over, yarn over, find you're going to go in between all those slip stitches we did. Yarn over, pull through, then you're gonna yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And as you can see, this stitch is much taller than these slip stitches we did in the bottom. And the reason why we ended up having to chain 2 was because this is going to count as your first double crochet. See how they're both the same height? In a lot of your patterns, you're going to have to chain 2, chain 3, chain 1, so that your pattern is seamless and your chains will count as your first actual stitch. Here it counts as your first double crochet stitch. So for this pattern, there is a double crochet cluster, which is just 2 double crochets. It can be more than 2, it can be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever it is. For this one is just a 2 double crochet cluster. So this is our first cluster. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to repeat that 5 times. So we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then you're going to do your cluster, which is double crochet, yarn over, through your hole. Make sure you're going through the middle of those slip stitches you created. I like to take my tail and go ahead and wrap it over, and then it will blend into your work. That way you aren't having to sew in the ends later. It just blends right in. So we did chain 2, double crochet. We're going to do another double crochet. And that is our very first one of 5. So go ahead and do that 4 more times. I'll go ahead and do it with you because I know this might be a little complicated. So we're going to chain 2. Let's go ahead and get some more yarn. double crochet, so yarn over through your hole, through your circle, pull up 1, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2 more, double crochet again for our double crochet cluster. Now see how this tail is like perfectly worked into our work, so we are not going to see that tail once we get done with all 5. So we've done 1, 2, 3 more, 1, 2, double crochet, see, and sometimes you'll drop a loop just like that. It's not that hard. All you're gonna do is just pull it, go back to right where you were, and finish your double crochet. And you can see the tail is just starting to just sit right there. That's perfect. Just want it to sit right there. So we did 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, double crochet, double crochet, 1, 2, double crochet, double crochet. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have done 5, and see how our tail is literally just sticking out right there. So instead of having to sew it in, you can just clip that little part off, which is like super like revolutionary. It took me a minute to even realize you could do it like that. It'll really save you a lot of time, trust me, especially if you're gonna go ahead and do this pattern where you make the blanket and you have to make like so many of these squares. For this, when you do the circle, you can go ahead and pull the tail and it will close the middle. You can close the middle as much as you possibly can. Okay, so to end this round, first round, we're going to chain 2. And then we're gonna slip stitch to the top of the first double crochet of the round. So we're going to slip stitch into the first, not this chain, don't slip stitch into this chain, slip stitch into this right here of the first double crochet right here, and a slip stitch again. You're just gonna yarn over, pull through. Might get a little tricky if you did it a little tight like I did. And then straight through the other one. And then you can see I'm starting to build like a hexagon pattern, which is perfect. That's exactly what we want. And then for round 2, we're going to slip stitch into the chain space. Chain spaces are just the spaces between your stitches. So here you can see these big old gaps. These are the chain spaces. So we're going to slip stitch into the chain space. So not into these stitches up here, but into the space between those. Another slip stitch. And then what you're going to do is 4 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then double crochet into the same chain space. double crochet. Again, you're going to yarn over in through the space, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 more. And then we're going to you're going to do that double crochet cluster again. So in your next space, the next thing you're going to do is in the next chain space in this big gap, you're going to straight into double crochet. So you're going to go yarn over into the chain space, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 more, chain 2, 1, 2, then another double crochet. Now, as you can see, this cluster is a little different. This cluster is not 2 double crochets together. There is a chain space between the 2 double crochets. And that's just like as you build out your hexagon, that's just the pattern you have to take to be able to build it out. Next, you're just gonna keep going around into every chain space. So I'll do one more with you. Double crochet, chain 2, 1, 2, sorry. One double crochet. See how I'm like doing it a little tighter so it's kind of folding over? You may want to do it a little looser. Me, I usually just like pull it out a little bit to loosen it up. That way you don't even have that issue. But like, I'm not a professional and you're not a professional, so like you're gonna have issues like that where you do things too tight, and that's okay. Usually you can kind of just like manipulate it a little bit, and if you have to start over, that's fine. Like, just pull it out and start over. It's not that big of a deal. When you first start out, you're gonna have to do that a lot until you like perfect. And each pattern is different, so if it takes you 4, 5, 6 tries to do one pattern, that's normal. So let me continue these and you finish those up and I will meet you back here. Alright, so I finished up all my spaces, and then to end round 2, we're gonna find this chain that we just did. 1, 2, 3, 4. On the 3rd chain, we're gonna slip stitch into this chain. And then see how that chain just blends. You can't even like tell that it's not a double crochet. It just looks the same. I might have to start this over. It's kind of, see how if that just means it's a little too tight. But this is just the first of like 300 squares for this blanket, so like if you mess up the first one, that's okay. You can just undo it. So for our 3rd round, we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. It will help you to do looser stitches if you hold your hook further. If you're holding right here, your stitches are going to be super tight. Try to hold your hook back here. That way your stitches are a little looser. So we're going to chain 3. And then we're going to do those same 1 double crochet, 2 chain, 1 double crochet to the chain space. 1 double crochet, chain 2, and then 1 double crochet again. And then you're going to do 1 double crochet in this 1 chain space. See how there's 2 chain space here? 1, 2, 3 right here, and just 1 stitch right here. You're going to do 1 double crochet in that stitch. And then you're gonna just keep that around until you fill up all your chain spaces again. So you're gonna do the 1 double crochet, do that all the way around, and then I'll see you back here. Alright, so I finished all the way around, and as you can see, I have a little trouble with mine laying flat. That's okay, because all of these hexagons are going to be connected to a blanket, so it should just, once you attach them, they should lie flat. But if yours is too tight and you have yours to the point where it's just like this, that's okay. Just start over and try to do the stitches a little looser. Like I said, you can hold the hook further back, and then when you hold your yarn, don't pull it. You're just holding it there so you can grab it. This first hexagon you can kind of use as your gauge. And in crochet, when you do a gauge, you do your first square or your first row or whatever you're gonna do, maybe a little square of a couple rows, and then you're gonna measure your, like in this instance, I would measure my hexagon and see if it's the correct size. If it's the correct size, then my stitches are fine and I don't need to do it again. Also, to finish this, we did that 1 last double crochet in the last chain space, and then you're going to slip stitch to the 3rd chain here. 1, 2, 3, 3rd chain. Just a slip stitch, and you're done. And that's your hexagon. I may do this a little looser. Probably not, because it seems like it's sitting pretty well, honestly. So I may not have to do it again. Let's see, what's the gauge for this? On this pattern, it's 11 centimeters. The hexagon should be 11 centimeters, so let's see. I'm also using a thicker yarn, so we got to take that into consideration too. So it should be about this big. So we're almost, we could probably do our stitches a little looser, because we're a little off right here. So in this case, this would be my gauge, and I'd be like, oh, okay, my hexagon is not big enough. Unless I'm purposefully trying to make a little smaller hexagon, which kind of works for my purposes because I'm only doing a lap blanket, so I may just keep it this way. It really depends on what you want to do, if you want to follow the pattern to a T or not. To take this hexagon off, what you would do is just cut here and then pull this through like this one more time, like you're almost like you're chaining, and then you're gonna cut it and just pull through, and you'll just have a loop, and you just tighten this just like this, and that would be your hexagon. This was more like a beginner's introduction to crochet, so I won't get too deep into the pattern, but I will have a a separate video once I have a few of these hexagons on my own. My other channel, or on this channel, and my other pages also on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, everything. I'm pretty much on everything, so go ahead and message me privately if you have any questions. I'm fully open to answering any questions you have or doing any follow-up videos if that was hard to follow. Just let me know. All right, bye.